So how do we use support and resistance when you're trading the stock market? This would be the only video for beginners. I think if you're completely new, I think you want to watch this video all the way to the end, because what happens is I see many people using support and resistance the wrong way, alright? And what happens is, let me just show you this diagram right over here. It's a chart, and most people draw support and resistance like this. Look at this number of lines on the chart, and how do we actually know, all right, what to do with so many lines, right? And this is what most people do, because if there's just too many lines, you have no idea what to do, all right? And in this very video, we're going to look at support and resistance. How do we draw these lines effectively, right? When can we potentially see a reversal from this support or resistance? And also, when can we potentially see a break of these levels? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier stockbroker and trader in Singapore. And you definitely want to watch this video all the way to the end, because I think you're going to like what I got for you. So here's what will be covered in this very video, right? Number one, right, we look at support and resistance. What exactly is a support and resistance, and how do we actually draw it effectively, okay? And next, we'll also look at when can a reversal from these levels likely happen. That means if you kind of hit towards like a resistance or support, we'll see prices kind of like reversing from them, and when can it most likely happen, all right? And also, we look at when we can potentially see a break of these levels. That means prices either pushing higher or pushing lower. That means we were to break these levels for the next phase of the uptrend or for the downtrend to continue, right? And this is what will be covered right now. So what exactly is a support and resistance? So basically, these are lines that we draw, right? Horizontal lines that we draw based on the charts or based on the stock price that forms, right? So most of the time, I would say that the market or the particular stock will be in what we call consolidation phase. That means they're like moving sideways, like this diagram. Right over here, you can see prices like moving down, up, and this is what we call like the consolidation phase, right? And based on this consolidation phase, we can draw what we call the support and resistance lines, which are pretty much horizontal lines connecting the highs and the lows, right? So for example, this is a resistance line right here. You can see R1, R2, R3. This is what we call a resistance line. So every time it kind of like hits towards this level, it touches, it comes back down, it nears, it comes back down, it touches, it comes back down. So this is what we call a resistance, whereby there are a lot of sellers there. Whenever we approach these levels, sellers are back to push prices down, right? That is what we call a resistance, something like the ceiling, right? The ceiling, right? And every time we throw a ball at the ceiling, it bounces back down, right? That's what we call a resistance, right? And next would be the support, right? So support, you can see S1, 2, 3, 4. So each time it touches a price level, all right, a horizontal price level, you kind of like see a rebound from it. You can see it rebounds, rebound, rebound. So the more points we have, right, that's where we can draw this support level right here, right? So this is the support, this is a resistance, and this is pretty much what is the support and resistance, and how do we actually draw it on the chart. So let's move on, right? So this is how do we draw it. So we'll look at the big picture, right? I want to look at the big picture. So most people, what they want to do is they actually kind of like zoom in too much, and they look at like a month or a week or a day of data, and it's just too you can't see the big picture, right? So what you want to do is look at the big picture, more than a year of data. Of course, guys, I'll show you exactly how to do it. We look at some live case studies. So we look at the big picture, a year or more of data, all right? We zoom out, we look at the big picture, and then we draw these lines, all right? Next, we want to go for the low hanging fruit. So for example, like the lines I showed you just now regarding the chart, right? So there are just too many lines. Look at this, right? How do we even know how to react when there's just too many lines? So you want to go for the low hanging fruit. That means the lines which I would say are the most obvious, right? And what do you mean by obvious? That means it's like, within like 2 seconds or 5 seconds, you know that is the line, that is the resistance, that is the support. Just go ahead to draw that first, right? We call it the low-hanging fruits. You can easily find it within like 2 seconds. If not, then if you're spending too much time trying to figure out, that is probably not a low-hanging fruit, right? So go for the easy cube, all right? The low-hanging fruits. Next would be to get the best fit line with the most points touching, all right? So of course, to form a line, you need 2 points, right? So if we have like a support and resistance that have like 3, 4, 5, 10 points, that is the best. That means that is like the best fit line with the most points touching, right? And that's where we give a lot of emphasis on that specific support and resistance line. So the more points that touches the line, the better it is. The more meaningful is that line, and the more emphasis we give to that specific support and resistance. Next, we're going to place priority on the psychological level. So what are psychological levels? So psychological levels are levels like, $1 or $100, the $200, the $1,000 level, or the pretty much full or whole numbers, 150, all right, $250. These are pretty much whole numbers where people place a lot of emphasis on them, all right, and that's where we give a bit more priority to this level, especially if the support and resistance lines are near this psychological level. So we look at a few case studies as well as where are some of those levels that are formed on the chart, and if there are any support and resistance lines in these levels, right? Next, we want to focus on levels whereby the support turn resistance and vice versa, right? So what happens is this: when we see a resistance level, so as I say, a resistance level is where it touches, it comes back down, touches, comes back down. That is a resistance. But if we were to break this resistance, right? So this resistance is like a ceiling, all right? So if we were to break this resistance will now become the support, right? So for example, now we are on the first floor, right? So on the first floor right here, and if we do break the ceiling, all right, we'll go on to the second floor, all right? So we're going like from the first floor to the second floor to the third floor, and that's pretty much how it works in the stock market. It will not just go up every single day, all right? So when a resistance were to break, all right, this resistance will now become a support, and if the lines fit really nicely, you want to give emphasis on this, right? So resistance turns support on an upside breakout, and for a downside breakdown, for example, support, if it does break this support will now become the resistance, and that would be a new downwards move, right? So that's how we give a bit more emphasis on support becoming resistance and resistance becoming support as well, depending on whether it breaks up or breaks down. So let's take a look at how do we actually draw this line. So let's take a look at some live case studies right now. So let's take a look at some live case study, right? So for this stock right over here, you can see this is a Spotify, and let's go to draw what we call the support and the resistance line. So I mentioned in number one, we're going to look at the big picture. We're going to zoom out. We don't want to just zoom in and look at it like right here and what is this, right? So we're going to zoom out, look at the big picture, a year or more of data, right? And that's how we draw this line. So zoom out, all right, zoom out, look at the big picture right over here. I think this would be sufficient, all right? And from there, we can look at the big picture and then we draw these lines before kind of like zooming in and then looking at the near term, right? So let's see if we can easily go for the low hanging fruits, right? So what is the support and resistance? So you can see right over here, this would likely be a resistance. You can see prices kind of like touching almost it comes down, all right? And you can see right over here, it breaks the resistance, started to push up, and we probably will see another resistance level right here. I think right over here, you can see somewhere around that 360 to 370. Of course, we got quite a bearish candle here with a long upper shadow, but this will be what we call another resistance level right here, right? You can see prices kind of rejecting this level. That would be a resistance level. And what about here? Look at this, right? So this was like, as I say, guys, you want to put emphasis on when the resistance become the support, right? So look at this. This was like the resistance all this while, right? And when we break this level right over here around that 300, okay, so guys, 300 is a psychological level as well. So this is $300, and we broke this. So this resistance will now become the support, and right now you can see we have been like holding for like about 4 months above this new resistance turn support right here, right? And then we broke down, and the support became the resistance again. So we want to put emphasis on when support become resistance become support. So let's see if you can draw another line right here. So go for the easy Q, right? Go for the easy Q, and I would say this would be another support level right here. Let me just go to draw this right here. You can see right here, you can see this is where the 220. So you can see we kind of rebounded from it, we neared it almost, and we kind of rebounded from it as well somewhere around here. So that would be, I would say, a clear support level somewhere from like 220 to 210 if you want to give a bit more allowance, but definitely this is a line to be drawn right here. All right, and let's see, right, maybe somewhere around here. So look at the big picture, right, and I think this would definitely be another resistance. Look at this, guys. We kind of like touch, came down, almost came down, and eventually what happens was we kind of broke this resistance, and that's where the rally really started, or the uptrend really started. And we can also draw what we call another support line somewhere around here. Look at this right here. You can see this where it rebounded. That would be a consolidation phase, right? You can see from like 2019 to 220, we were consolidating, and when we broke this resistance level right here, and this would be the 160. So same thing, guys, right? We want to give a bit more emphasis on the psychological level when it's like whole number 160, 200, 300. These are pretty much whole psychological levels, and you can see when we broke this, of course, there were some signs of the uptrend happening, and the rally really started. All right, started all the way up. It started to consolidate, and this is where we are right now. So this is how we draw support and resistance. Let's take a look at another case study. So this is another counter called UMC, and let's see if we can draw some horizontal lines, right, the support and resistance. So very quickly, as I say, go for the low hanging fruits. This is quite clearly, you see, look at this. It kind of like hits to this level, it pushes down, touches, pushes down. So this is what we say would be a resistance. Make sense, guys? It's like quite easy, right? 2 points, we form a line. Of course, the more points that forms the lines, the better it is. The more priority, the more meaningful that line is. But 2 points is good enough, right? So go for the easy Q. This is another one. Look at this, right? This would be the $8. Look at this, $8. So you can see kind of like rebounded, and right over here we rebounded from it as well, right? So this would be, I would say, the resistance line. Of course, we can also draw, I would say, another line right here. This was a bit of a resistance. You can see right somewhere around here. If you want to draw just one more, right, you can see a bit of resistance over the past few months. We kind of headed towards this $10. So psychological level again, guys, $10, $11, right? These are all psychological levels. So we're pretty much consolidating here, and you can see over the past few months that $10 would be a bit of a resistance level if you just want to draw one more line in between. But as I say, don't clutter. We don't draw too many, like 10 lines or 8 lines. Just 1, 2, 3 max, the most obvious points, and that would do, right? So let's see if we can zoom out again. So look at the big picture, we zoom out, right? We zoom out, we look at the big picture, and then we go to find this line. So that would be another line right here. You can see this was where it was consolidating, right? It was a $6 mark. You can see it touches, it came down. Let me just zoom it in for you guys right here. You can see there's resistance. We broke this level, and the uptrend really started again. All right, and a bit of a support here, if you can see. Look at this, right? So this was a bit of a support. You can see it went down, up, down, and eventually it broke up, right? So let's see if you can draw just one more line or not go too far. You can see this is a bit of a support. You can see right here, one more right over here as well. It was a bit of a resistance. You can see we're consolidating. We broke up here, and that's where it started to push up. Okay, so that would be another line. One more here. Look at this. This would be the $3. You can see a firm resistance at $3. Let me zoom it in for you guys right here. You can see resistance came down. That would definitely be a resistance, and we broke up, and the uptrend kind of like started as well, right? So this would be for this counter right here. This would be what I would draw right now. Of course, as each day passes or each month new passes, there might be new lines that forms. All right, but this is pretty much how we do it. We look at the big picture, we go for the low hanging fruits, and then from there we can decide what to do at this support and resistance. Okay, another case study, Tesla right here. Let's see if we can draw some good support and resistance lines. Right, some of them are really obvious, like this right over here. You can see this is around that 550, 560 level. We definitely can draw one line right here. You can see this is a bit of a support, rebounded. We kind of sold down, rebounded. This would definitely be a support level around the 550, 560 mark. You can see this is where we can draw one line. All right, what about here? Look at it. This would be somewhere around the 900 level. Let me just zoom out for you guys. You can see this is 900. You can't touch it, and prices kind of came down. All right, and a bit of a support right over here. Look at this, right? As I say, guys, we're going to put emphasis on when the support turned resistance. So this was a bit of a support. You can see we were consolidating for like about 2 months here, all right, from like 780 to 900, up, down. When we broke this support would now become the resistance. So we actually went down, came back up. Look at this, right? We came back up to this level. So support turned resistance, and we actually came back up to this resistance. I mean, why not like somewhere here, but right over here, because this support became the resistance. So we can't touch it, all right, and came down, and back to this support level, right? So this was, I would say, for Tesla, right? And we're somewhere around here at about 679. All right, let's see if we can draw another support and resistance. I think that would be a bit of a support. You can see resistance here about that 350, 350. You can see resistance broke up, went up, came back down, resistance turned support. That would definitely be another line right here. And look at this. I think this would be another resistance as well. Look at this right here. This would be the 500. Yes, exactly. So 500, guys, is a psychological level. All right, these people like numbers like 500, 1000. These are pretty much psychological level. You can see this was the resistance. We were actually consolidating below 500 to 350. Look at this, up down from for like 4 months. And when we broke this 500, the rally really started from 500 to about 900. All right, that's really a huge push up, right? So 500 would be a resistance, and now, I mean, if we do hit to that 500 level, that would be a support level as well. But you can see 550 has kind of came in as a bit of a support. We have like rebounded over the past few months at 550, not even 500. But I think if that 550 were to give way, then 500 would be the next psychological support level. All right, let's see if we can draw another line. Look at this. I think this would be quite clear right over here. Let me just zoom it in for you guys. All right, so this would be, I would say, another resistance level, right? About that 200. Yes, this would be the 200 level. You can see we came down, we touched, we're consolidating below, and then finally we broke that 200 and it started to consolidate again. That would be another support level right here. That would be the I would say 275 level here. Right here. All right, you see we're consolidating for a while. All right, probably about 1 month plus, from like 275 to 350, and then we broke up, right? So that would be a line as well. So we'll not go too far. I think maybe you can just, if you want to draw one more line, this would likely be a bit of a, yeah, look at this, like a resistance, as I say. All right, and then this would likely be another support level. You can see we broke this support, we went back up, and that's where the upside started to happen right here. All right, so a support, resistance, and now it would be the support, and the uptrend really started here. Okay, so this is, I would say, Tesla, and this is pretty much how we draw the support and resistance lines. Go for the low-hanging fruits, right? You don't want to go too deep into all the details, or just zoom it in and look at like only a few days or a few weeks. It doesn't make sense. We look at the big picture, we draw the lines, the major ones that counts, all right, and this is how we do it. Okay, so we have kind of like covered some live case studies on how to actually draw this horizontal support and resistance lines, right, guys? By the way, right, if you like what you're seeing so far, all right, go ahead to like this video, right? Go ahead to like this video, and it will definitely help out the YouTube channel. And of course, guys, go ahead to smash the subscribe button. Smash it, pam. Yes, go ahead, do it now. Okay, yes, go ahead to smash the subscribe button if you have not yet done so, so that you will not miss out on any videos like this, right? So let's do a quick recap of what we have covered so far on how to draw support and resistance lines. So we're gonna look at the big picture. We zoom out. You can see I can't like zoom out, look at a year or more than 6 months, a year of data. You can even zoom out more if you want to look at data that is further away, right? But pretty much zoom out, look at the big picture, go for the low hanging fruits, right? Pretty much the obvious lines which are the resistance and support. And it's like within 2 seconds you can draw it like how I've done it, and you kind of get the best fit line with the most points touching. The more points that touches that line, we give more emphasis on that line, right? It's more meaningful it is, all right? And also more priority for this psychological level, especially if the horizontal support and resistance lines matches those psychological levels, the 100, the 150, the 200. These are pretty much whole numbers that we give a bit more emphasis. All right, and you want to focus on levels whereby the support turn resistance and resistance turn support. So I kind of like show you guys how whenever it breaks up or down, all right, we have like support becoming resistance becoming support, and kind of like give a bit more emphasis, especially if it were to fit really nicely. Of course, sometimes you don't really get like it's so beautiful, like a support becoming a resistance, but we try to give a bit more emphasis on when if it really fits nicely, and when a resistance and become a support, or vice versa. Okay, so let's move on, right? When can a reversal likely occur at this level? So at the horizontal support, at the horizontal resistance, when can a reversal happen? And what do I mean by reversal? Reversal just means, let's say we have like a resistance lines, and if prices or the stock would like move up, and it kind of like nears these resistance lines, when can we potentially see a reversal happening whereby it kind of like hits there and it comes back down, like a reversal from like an upward move to a downward move, right? And same thing for a support level. If we're to head towards a support, when can we like potentially see a rebound from the support level, which is like a reversal? So that's what I mean by reversal. So how do we do it, right? So the first thing we can look out for is reversal candlestick. They are spotted right near this support and resistance line, right? So for example, if it's like a support level, that's where we can see prices are potentially rebounding, right? Especially if you like rebounded many times, right? That's where if we were to hit to it again, we can potentially see a rebound. But if we do spot some good candles there, all right, right at the support levels. That is where we can likely see it happen again, right? And what do I mean by a reversal candlestick? So a reversal candlestick would be something like this, right? This is what we call like a shooting star, right? A shooting star. You don't have to bother about the names, right? I mean, I'll probably do another video on candlesticks, so probably check out the link somewhere. That's where I talk about candlestick in detail. But just very quickly, you can see this is what we call a candlestick. So prices have like kind of like opened here. I open here, all right, and it kind of like went up. So this is like a long upper shadow. So prices actually kind of like push up in the day, right, in the morning, and sellers came in and pushed prices down, all the way right here, and come like close lower. So this is what we call like a shooting star, and we do like spot this shooting star near a resistance level, right? So resistance level is whereby it kind of like touches, comes back down, touches, comes back down. So we like spot a shooting star right at this resistance level that has been holding for like 3 months, 6 months. Then you want to be careful, because that's where we can potentially see the reversal happening again, just like how it has happened over the past few months, right? So this is what we call like a shooting star, okay? And so you don't have to bother about the names. More importantly, you want to focus on like, what is the meaning behind the candlestick, right? So there will be another video on candlestick which I'll talk about it, but pretty much you can see this is where it prices pushed up, and at the day end or in the afternoon, sellers came back and pushed prices down. It shows that sellers are here to kind of defend that specific resistance level, and that's where we can potentially see a reversal. Next one, what will be this, right? This will be when if we see it at the support level. So same thing, this is what we call like a hammer, right? A hammer candlestick bar. All right, you can see it's something like a long lower shadow. And how do I remember it? I kind of like confused previously on these two, but basically a hammer would be something whereby there's a long lower shadow, and you can actually like grab it like a hammer and just whack. All right, so that's how I remember that this is a hammer. But names aside, basically a long lower shadow hammer would be one whereby it's a bit more bullish. And you can see that prices kind of like push down in the morning, all right, when the market began, all right, but the buyers came up and kind of like push prices back up, taking away all the sellers and pushing back all the way up, and eventually closing right here at the day high. So that is a good sign, all right, a long lower shadow. And if we are closing at the day high, that is a good sign that buyers are here to defend that support level. So if we do see this hammer, all right, at the support level, then it can be a very good indication that we might see a rebound again, all right, a rebound towards the next resistance again, and that's where it will most likely happen, all right, if you see this bullish hammer candlestick bar right here, right? So next one would be what we call like a doji, right? So doji just means you can see there's no color here, there's no green and blue. So green and blue, it just means whether it opens low or close higher, all right? So for example, like a green bar just means it opens lower and close higher, all right? A red bar just means it opens higher and close lower. That's it, right? It's pretty simple, nothing complicated, right? But you can see right over here, this is what we call like a doji, right? So a doji, you can see there's no green, there's no red, and why, right? So it just means that the opening price and the closing price are the same, right? So there's like no green and no red, right? And we have like what we call a short upper shadow and a long a lower shadow as well. You can see this is pretty much shows like indecision between buyers and sellers, all right? So we do see it near like a resistance or maybe like a support level. That's where we can potentially also see a reversal happening, right? So this is kind of like buyers pushing back and forth, sellers coming in, pushing back and forth, and in the end it just nobody won, it just closed right in the center. All right, this is a doji, right? Of course, we have like a long leg doji as well. You can see this is pretty much the same, but I would say this would be a firmer, all right, a stronger signal compared to this, because this is where we have a longer shadow at the upper end and the longer lower shadow at the lower end. So a bit of indecision, same thing, buyers and sellers, it's like a tug of war, all right, pushing, going up, down. In the end, nobody won. It goes right in the center, all right, at the day closing price. Right? This is what we call like a doji. Right here, right? So when we spot these candles at this support and resistance level, all right, of course guys, we'll look at some live case studies, so not to worry, we try to spot them and see if any of them come out and what happened. Did we like reverse or did we not? All right, so we can't do that. All right, so this is the first way we can kind of like spot our reversal candlestick patterns. Right, next would be if price has kind of like pushed too fast into these levels, right? So it's either like too bullish or too bearish. So for example, let's say we have like a resistance that's been holding for like a couple of months, touches like 3 or 4 times, it comes back down, and so this time we are like heading towards that resistance, and we are like seeing like a few good very bullish candles, very strong momentum pushing to that resistance levels like a bit too fast. So for example, usually it takes like a week or maybe like 2 weeks or a month to like hit up, but now it's like within like a few days it hits to that resistance level. That's where you want to be careful, because we might also see like a reversal which is like too fast, all right, towards that resistance level. Same thing, but like support level, if we are hitting too fast or very strong selling momentum towards the support, that's where we can potentially see a reversal as well. All right, and of course we want to take into the account the trend of the stock, right? So the reversal move is in the same direction as the trend, right? So of course now we have not talked about trend and all that, but what happens is, let's say if we are in an uptrend, right? So we look at like moving averages, we can draw like the channel support line and all that. So let's just assume that the trend is up, right? So if the trend is up and we are seeing like a support level that's been holding for many months, then I would say that there is a likely higher chance for this stock, all right, to rebound from the support level, because it's like in an uptrend, right? It's harder to be wrong when we are in an uptrend, and for an uptrend, if we are seeing like a very good support level that has been holding for many months, I think there's a high chance for prices kind of like rebounding off this support, just like what it has done, and because it is in an uptrend. It's in like, this reversal move is in the same direction as the uptrend. Right, of course, for the downtrending counter, like counters have been like going down and down, and then looking at the moving averages is like in a downtrend, and we have what we call like a resistance level, right? So this resistance has been like holding for many months, and if we were to like kind of hit to this level again, so it's like a downtrend, most likely this resistance will hold, and it's higher chance for prices to push down, all right, when we were to hit to this resistance level, especially in a downtrend. All right, so just take note of that. We will take into account the trend of the stock as well, right? So these are pretty much the factors of when can a reversal likely occur. So let's take a look at some live case studies right now to make sure we seal in all these points. Okay, so let's take a look at this case study again on Spotify and see if we can spot any reversal, all right, from this support and resistance lines that we have drawn previously, right? So this is right over here what we have drawn, the horizontal support and resistance line. So let's see if we can spot any reversal, right? So I think this would be right over here. I think that would be where we can spot. Remember, the first one would be a reversal candle, all right? So this is something like a reversal candle right here. You can see $300 was a psychological resistance level. So when we hit it to there, all right, we saw this bearish candle here, all right? So this is something I would say like a shooting star. So we have like a long upper shadow, and it kind of like closed much way lower, all right? So this is something like a shooting star. When we saw it here, you can see it kind of reversed again. Prices kind of broke the low of this day, and it kind of like reversed down, all right? Found a bit of support, went back up, and you can see this is another what we call like a kind of like a bearish candle, whereby there's a long red body, or a long red body right here at this resistance level. Same thing, we kind of rejected this resistance and went all the way down here. Right, so this was a bit of a support level, right? This was a bit of a support level, managed to form up. You can see went down, and yeah, look at this, another one, right? You can see as we approach this resistance level, same thing, we saw this candle right here. So this is not really a shooting star, but you can see that there's something like what we call a long upper shadow, all right, which means like sellers kind of came back at the day end, all right, and pushed prices down. So like a long upper shadow is not so good, especially if we were to sit right at this resistance level, whereby you have like traded 1, 2, and 3 times down, all right. That's where we can potentially see some weakness, and we did see like this candle here, and it kind of broke the low and went all the way down to back this support level. So this is how we can spot those reversal candles, and let's see if we can spot another reversal candles somewhere here. Look at this, right? So this is, look at this right over here. Wow, so this was a bit of a resistance somewhere around that 360, right? 360. Of course, when we were drawing this line, then when it kind of like happened here, we wouldn't know that this would be a resistance, but the fact is, this candle bar, it kind of like shown right here, all right, right here, and this is what we call something like a shooting star, right? Resistance, long upper shadow, and look at this, it's a really long upper shadow, all right? That means sellers really push prices all the way back down, right? So if we see this right at the resistance, that's where you can also think about taking some profit. We might see a reversal back down, right? So prices kind of hit lower, and it kind of rebounded again, and look at this again, we saw it again, right? So that's where we saw another candle right here. It's a red bar, all right, not really a shooting star, but it looks like one, all right? But the fact is that we did have like a long upper shadow right here, and sellers coming back to defend that resistance level. So that's how we can see like a reversal happening again. All right, a reversal happening again. Let's see if we can see any other reversal. Like, look at it right here. I think this would be like a support level somewhere around that 220, right? So 220 was the support level that I've drawn just now. And look at this candle right here. So same thing, right? We have what we call this time a long lower shadow, right at the support level. So at the support level, we do see like a long lower shadow or a hammer, right? So this looks pretty similar to a hammer. Of course, we did had like a upper shadow as well, but it looks pretty similar to a hammer whereby we had a long lower shadow, or whether is it like a doji or something. It can show like an indecision between buyers and sellers and a potential reversal from this support level. So yes, we come down and we rebounded again. Okay, let's see if we can spot another reversal candle. I think that would be it. And I also mentioned that we can look at the trend as well, right? And if the trend kind of like coincides or it's in the same direction as the reversal, that would be a good thing. It's an added bonus that we can see a reversal. For example, look at this right here. So this was pretty much in an upwards trend direction right here. You can see these are the moving averages, which is pointing towards an uptrend. I'll not talk too much about trend, but this is where we can see like an uptrend and we were like consolidating here. All right, so we have like a support level. So a support level would most likely hold in an uptrend, especially if we see those bullish reversal candle there, right? So like 3 points, a bullish reversal candle is an uptrend, and the support has been holding for like many months. That is a huge plus point. That's where we can most likely see like a rebound. So you can see this is like a support and it's like in an uptrend. We're kind of like pushing away from this 100 days moving average line as well. The 200 days moving average line is pointing up, so quite a good, I would say, mid to long term uptrend, and we form a support and the bullish candle came out, right? But look at this right now. So you can see we will like push up this resistance, turn support, and we're like consolidating here. But what happens was, you can see we kind of broke down. We broke down, and this support would now become the resistance level. So things are looking a bit shaky for this company, all right? Kind of like broke down, all right, a bit of a good uptrend. But now when we broke this, what is this level? 300. Look at it. This is a 300 resistance, support, and now it's back to resistance again. So below that $300 level, we might see a bit of weakness, in terms of downtrend, and we can potentially see like a reversal down. So whenever it hits towards the 300, for example, now it's like 275, so we might actually hit towards maybe like 280 to 300 right here, and that's where we can potentially see like selling coming back again, right? Especially if we do stay below that 300 to 280, that is where we might see some weakness, because the trend have like kind of turned. You can see now this red line is the 100 days moving average and point down just below the blue line. So that is a sign of a trend kind of like turning down. But of course, the horizontal 300 psychological level is key as well. If you're like below the 300, signs of a trend turning down. And of course, if we do spot some bearish candles, so for example, let's say if we'd like to spot the shooting star. Remember, look at this, right? The shooting star, something whereby we have a long upper shadow right here, maybe like this candle right here. We do like spot this candle here, a shooting star right at this level here, maybe from 280 to 300. That is a sign whereby we can potentially see the reversal happening back down again, because this 300 would most likely be a resistance, and we can see weakness. So one more case study and see if we can spot any reversal. Alright, so this is Amazon. Let's go ahead to draw the horizontal support and resistance line. So we go for the EZQ, right? So let's go ahead to draw it. Alright, so this would be a resistance. You can see we have been like capped below this resistance about 3,550 for like about, I would say, a year. Alright, about a year. And this is where we can draw a resistance that is quite obvious, right? So go for the obvious ones, the low-hanging fruit that I've talked about, and this would be another support level. Makes sense, guys? This would be a really what we call like a consolidation phase, right? So you can see it pushes up, down, consolidated a bit, went up a bit, came back down to this support, went up, came back down slightly, and we are somewhere near that resistance level again. So we can potentially see a reversal, same thing like what we have seen many times, it coming down. Right here, it might actually kind of break that 3,004. So 3,004 would be a bit of I would say like a temporary support level. You can see we're like holding above for the past 2 weeks, and we do like break below that 3,004. That is where we might see a bit of selling all the way back to like 3,001, 3,002, or maybe to that 2009. As this line is drawn, this is a very firm support level that's been holding for like about a year. All right, about a year. All right, and let's see if we can spot this reversal candles right at this support and resistance line. So you can see right away here, this is a support level. You can see this. Look at this candle right. Let me just zoom it in for you guys on this day. on the 5th of March, right? 5th of March 2021. Look at this candle bar right here. What does it look like, guys? Does it look like a hammer? I mean, of course, a hammer is green in color, but in this case, do you see at this particular bar right here, there's what we call a very, very long lower shadow. That means, and it happens right at the support level that's been holding for many months, right? About 8 months to a year. All right, and we see this candle right here, long lower shadow. All right, buyers coming out, at the day end, all right, and taking prices all the way back up, just eating, getting all the sellers out the way again, pushing prices back up and closing somewhere at the day high. That is a good sign that this support at the 2,900 level will most likely hold, and again we might see a reversal happening again, and it was consolidating again for like a week or two, and that's where the reversal started. Right, so same thing here. This is like a resistance level, so if we do spot any reversal candle, look at this candle right here. Right, this candle is what we call like a bearish harami, right? Bearish harami, whereby it kind of like opens higher and close lower. All right, that's where we can see a bit of weakness as well, and it happens right at the resistance at the 3550 level, and that's where we kind of like broke the low of this day, and the selling started to happen. All right, if we do see like a shooting star, all right, right at the resistance level, that would be a good indication of a potential reversal back down. All right, so this is Amazon. Let's see if we can spot another any of those patterns again. Right here, I think this would be another resistance lines we can draw right here. You can see this is where the 2,500 level is, and maybe another one right here. Right, this would be another, I would say another line right here. So we go for the easy Q right over here. You can see this is where we're consolidating from like 2002 to 2005, up down. All right, and you can see we kind of like went down a bit, and we saw this candle bar right here. This is what we call something like a hammer, a long lower shadow right here, and it is a good sign that buyers are like coming out. All right, coming out. In fact, it didn't really hit to like 2003 or 2002, somewhere in the center we saw this, and eventually it reversed back up, broke that 2005 resistance, and this 2005 resistance would now be the support, and the rally really started to happen. All right, of course this is an uptrending counter as well. All right, and we broke this resistance and the uptrend started. All right, so this would be Amazon, right? So this would be Amazon. So yes, I hope now you have a clearer picture on where to actually find these reversal candles, and also in terms of the trend, right? So look at the trend as well. So same thing in terms of the reversal. For example, this was pretty much in an uptrend. There were some signs of a good uptrend happening. All right, and when we count deep, so in an uptrend, if we're deep to those support levels that has been holding, or like is it like a resistance turn support, or a support that's been holding for many months? In an uptrend, this support will most likely hold, and that's where like right over here you can see it reversing from this new support level, and the uptrend really started. So kind of like push up, it came back down again, probably a bit of support right here at 2006, and we saw this candle again right here, something like a long lower shadow, right? And that's where the reversal happened again. Of course, there were signs of an uptrend right over here. Looking at the moving averages, it was pretty much an uptrend. All right, and that's where we rebounded from the support level, and also we saw some good reversal candle near the support level. All right, but this is where we are right now. So for the past 1 year, it's pretty much consolidating, and in terms of the trend, you can see that this red line, the 100 days moving average, is like kind of like flattening out. It was like pointing up, but somewhere just about 5-6 months back, it started to flatten out, and it's like both of these lines are like moving straight, flat, right? It's not up, it's not down. All right, so it's pretty much like a consolidation phase. I think if we were to like break that 3,550 or maybe that 3,600 level, that is where we can see the uptrend continue again, and then the two lines will start to point up, and that's where we can see more upside. But right now, it is back to this consolidation phase for a year, and that's where we can see reversal happening at this major support and resistance level. Okay guys, so let's talk about when can a breakout of these levels likely occur, right? So we have talked about a reversal, whereby we reverse from the support, we reverse from the resistance, we either push and rebound from the support, or come back down from the resistance level, right? So that's what we have talked about in terms of the reversal. But right now, we're looking at the breakout. For example, resistance, it breaks out, and that's where it starts to push higher, and for support level, it breaks down and starts to push lower. Right, so when can a breakout actually happen at this level? When is it most likely to occur? Right, so this is what will be covered right now, and of course we look at some live case studies as well, and I'll give you some really good examples. Right, so first one, right, bullish. So when would be a bullish move, on kind of like a bullish upside breakout? So when we see a consolidation, all right, towards the resistance with higher lows, right? So for example, we have like resistance right here that's been holding for many months, and when we see a consolidation, it could be like consolidating sideways, or it could be like consolidating at higher lows. So higher lows would be what we call something like an uptrend. We can connect, we can draw a line, and this line I call it like a channel support line that connects the low, and this line is like sloping upwards. All right, let me show you what I mean right here. So this is like a upwards consolidation. You can see right here, this is like a resistance. The red line it touches, comes down, and this would be the key. Look at this green line. This green line is what we call a upward sloping channel support line. So it's an upward sloping channel support line connecting the lows, right? You can see it kind of like went up, came back down, right? Rebounds from this line, went back down again. And look at this, when it came back down this time, it did not actually went down to the same level or even lower, or maybe the same level as the previous low. It went down to here, and buyers came back and were prepared to buy at higher prices and kind of like bought prices up, all right? Kind of went up, rebounded, came down again, and look at this, right? The low, all right, was like, not even the same as the previous low. It was like somewhere here, and buyers came out to buy again. All right, so that's a sign of buyers willing to buy at higher prices, coming in early. And when we connect this this line right here of all the points, it's a channel support line, all right, higher lows, and that is a very good sign of a breakout happening in the upwards direction right here, right? So when we see this kind of like consolidation, this is what we call like an ascending triangle as well. We see like consolidation like this, very firm resistance, and an upward sloping channel support line. If we do break this resistance level, that's where the uptrend or the upside can continue. So there's a very high chance of it, happening if we were to spot this kind of like pattern, right, or this kind of like upward sloping consolidation towards that resistance, compared to it just like a rectangle, something like what we have covered just now. It's just like moving sideways. Then it would, it can still happen, but just that this particular pattern right here, there's a very high chance of it breaking higher, right? So of course, can it actually like touch this line and like come all the way down? Of course it can. Nobody knows, right? But there is a very high probability of it breaking upwards, because we are seeing what we call like a higher lows, or higher lows connecting this point. So there's a higher chance for it to move up than down, especially if this counter is in an uptrend. All right, so this is towards the bullish direction. What about the bearish, right? So same thing when we see like a consolidation towards the support with lower highs. So same thing here, you can see like price like moving down, right? So it could be a stock which is like in a downtrend in the mid to long term, all right? And we see like a good support, kind of like holding here, and it kind of like rebounded, but each time it rebounds, look at this way, as it rebounds up, all right, it couldn't even push up to the previous high. Just somewhere here, and the sellers came back and start to push prices down. Same thing, it rebounds here, sellers came back, it didn't even go to the high of what we saw previously, somewhere here, and sellers came back, push it back down. All right, and of course we rebounded from this support. But when we see this is a sign that it can potentially break down this support level, because this is what we call a channel resistance line. It's a downward sloping line, so there's a higher chance of it breaking down than breaking up. Of course, we can also break up. We can actually like consolidate here, and eventually if we do break this red line, this channel support, we can actually see like a reversal back up. But the fact is that when we see this pattern, there's a higher probability of it happening. So of course, if you don't take like short position to ride the downside, that's where you can consider it as well, or because there's a higher chance of it pushing lower if the breakdown actually happened below this support level. Okay, so this is how we can see if it likely will break out at this support and the resistance level, right? So next one, taking into account the trends of the stock as well. So the breakout move is in the same direction as the trend. So for example, let's say if we are in an uptrend, right? So we look at the moving averages and all that, and we are in an uptrend. So in an uptrend, all right, there's a higher chance for prices to break upwards. So I come like push higher for the uptrend to continue to the next higher phase. So in an uptrend, I think if you were to kind of like break out any of those like major resistance level, that is a good sign whereby prices can push higher. If it's like in a downtrend and it breaks up, then it's like kind of like against the trend, right? So probably not very high probability of it like reversing or pushing higher compared to when it's an uptrend and it were to break up, right? So same thing when we are in a downtrend, right? Because we're in a downtrend and we see a support level, so downtrend, support level, there's a higher chance for this support to break down, right? In a downtrend then to kind of like reverse higher. Of course, there's a possibility as well, but as I say, it's all about probability. All right, it's all about probability. When you trade, you have a plan. All right, so there's a higher chance for it to kind of break down and push lower in a downtrend, especially when the support were to give way. Okay, so let's take a look at some live case studies and see and put into action what we have just covered. So let's see in this case study whether can we spot any of those breakouts, all right, like what we have covered just now, all right, and prices kind of like pushing higher in an uptrend, right? So this is Apple right here. Let's go to draw the horizontal support and resistance level. I think that would definitely be a line right here about the 140. So if we look at the big picture, you can see this is where we are. We have been like consolidating below this level, all right, for about a year, all right, 140 to 145. You want to draw another line is fine as well, right? 140 to 145. That would be another resistance level. You can see right here we have been consolidating below, and you can also see that we have what we call from higher lows, right? So we can also draw what we call an upward sloping, right? So this would be an upward sloping. Look at this right here. So I mentioned about, you know, there's a higher chance for it to break out, all right, in an uptrend. Of course, if we do see like consolidating towards the resistance level, right? So resistance 140 to 145, but you can see that's where we were like consolidating higher over the past 1 year. All right, so there's a higher chance for it to kind of like, you know, push higher and eventually break out. Because right now we can also hit towards that 140 to 145 and come back down again. Maybe we might retrace back down to this green line, and that's where the moving averages is as well. Maybe go up, come back down, go up, come back down. Now we might see it like a few times, and right over here eventually we might break an attempt or even attempt to break this 145, and that's where the upside or the uptrend can continue even further. That would be where it would most likely happen, because we are seeing what we call higher lows, right? And of course this is more of an uptrending counter from the moving averages, but the fact is we are still pretty much consolidating below this resistance level, right? Yep. Okay, so this is Apple right here. We can see that's where we can potentially break. Of course, we remains to be seen, but let's see if we can spot another of this whereby, you know, there's a high chance for it to break out previously as well. I think that would be another resistance line right here. I think, let me just go to draw it right here. Look at this, right? So this is a resistance all the while right here. So this around here we can draw what we call an upwards sloping. Look at this right here. So it's quite nice, right? An upward sloping channel support line, and this was the resistance. You can see we kind of like hit it there, came down, and eventually we broke this level at about 56. All right, and the uptrend kind of like started, right? So same thing. So in uptrends, all right, when we see some signs of good uptrend from the moving averages and all that, and we're to break above a resistance, there's a high chance of it to push higher than if it were in a downtrend. Make sense, guys? So we want to be in the same direction as the trend. So if we're to break a resistance level in an uptrend, there's a very good chance of it following through and pushing higher, like what we've seen here. It went down. All right, and of course, based on the current situation that we are in now, it kind of like sold off again. All right, but look at this. When we sold off, this resistance became the support level. Look at this, it fits really nicely. I didn't notice this, but look at this, right? So it was like resistance, it came all the way down to this level. I mean, like, why not here, why not halfway, but right at this level, at $56. And then we saw this candle. What would this candle be, guys? That would be something like a hammer, right? Something like hammer. Of course, the hammer is green in color, but we have like a long lower shadow right here. All right, right here at this resistance turn support level. And when we saw this, there's a very high chance of a reversal starting to happen. So yes, we kind of like broke out. You can see we broke out, came down, and we hit this support level, and we saw this reversal candle, and the uptrend really started to happen again, all the way from, like, you know, March 2020, and that's where the reversal really happened based on this reversal candle. Make sense, guys? All right, so this is how we kind of like, you know, spotted kind of like a breakout here. Went down, reversal, and pretty much in an uptrend, and you can see that this is pretty much where we are right now, consolidating in an uptrend with the resistance at 140 to 145. So we might actually, you know, hit to this level, come back down, but I'm looking to see, you know, over the next few months if we can like break this level, right, the 140, 145 firmly, right? You know, prices kind of like closing above, staying above for at least a week or two in this case, or that's where we can see the uptrend really continue to like maybe 160, 180. That would be where we can see a bit more upside. Okay, so this is how we do it. Okay, so let's take a look at another case study in an upwards direction, the uptrend, and see if we can spot any levels where the breakdown actually happened and if it can happen again. All right, so this is a counter called Lump Research, one of those really good uptrending counters as well. So let's go ahead to draw the horizontal support and resistance lines. I think this would definitely be a line right here. So go for the low hanging fruits. That would definitely be a resistance. Look at this, guys, came down, touch, came back down. All right, what about this support level? I think that would be a support level. Okay, a support level right here, and maybe another support level right here. So focus on levels whereby, you know, we see like a support turn resistance and resistance turn support. Look at this right here. So there was like a bit of resistance, we went up, you can see came back down, and it became like the resistance again, it went back up, and this is where we were like, you know, pushing up, resistance, came back down. Look at this, right? So the resistance turn support, so kind of like near this level, rebounded, and eventually we're back to this resistance level again, and eventually we broke out, right? So let's see if we could spot, like previously there were any signs of a breakout, right? Especially in an uptrend. So this counter is in an uptrend, you can see from the moving averages in an uptrend. So we want to look at levels whereby, you know, a resistance level would have broken, all right, in an uptrend, because there's a higher chance of it to push higher than if it were in a downtrend, right? So this is an uptrending counter. So I would say right over here we can also draw what we call an upward sloping, let me just quickly draw, I think this would be an upward sloping channel support line right here. You can see this is an upward sloping channel support line right here, and we had like a resistance at that 390, right? 390 to 400, you can see right here. So when we broke this resistance level, let me just zoom it in for you guys. Right here you can see 390, you can see this upward sloping channel support line as it consolidates higher towards this resistance right here, about 390 to 400, and of course it's in and out trend. So when we broke this level, you can see the breakout happened, all right, positively, bullishly, all right, and prices started to, you know, inch higher, and managed to come back down. We found a bit of a support here, right? So that is where I would say we have like what we call a breakout, right? A breakout, because in an uptrend, this resistance will most likely give way, all right? And of course, we can also touch and come back down, just like what we have seen here. You can like kind of touch, come back down, you might touch and come back down, touch, come back down, but when we see like a firm move, so we want to wait for like a firm confirmation, all right, of, you know, prices really breaking this level, staying above for at least a few days, and that's where the uptrend momentum can really, you know, start to continue, and that's where we can start to see a bit more upside. All right, so let's see if you can spot any of these again. Right now you can see this is where we are. So I kind of like drew what we call a resistance at about the 675 level. Look at this, we kind of like hit it there, came down, and just about a month back we hit it to this level, and look at this, right? This is what we call like a shooting star, right? So this shooting star happened right at that resistance level. You can see we cannot see a bit of weakness, but weakness doesn't mean like, you know, all the way down. It just means like weakness probably towards the next support level. In this case, it went to around the 600 level, which is where the 100 days moving average line is, and started to rebound again. So we might actually, you know, rebound back to this 680, 675 level, and, you know, we might see another reversal candle. We might start to reverse back down again, but it's an in and up trend, so there's a higher chance for prices to break out. Of course, we don't want to second guess and you know, think that it will break tomorrow or today or next week. We wouldn't know, but if it does break up, I would say that's where we can see the uptrend potentially continue all the way to like 750 to 800, and if we do see that move, that is a good sign that the breakout has happened, all right, and we can see more upside. And look at this, we can also draw what we call an upward sloping, right guys? I mean, we covered it in the diagram previously. So an upward sloping channel support line, you can see we are like consolidating higher, all right, towards a resistance that has formed over the past 3 to 4 months, right? So consolidating higher lows. Look at this, right? A low, but it's like getting higher and higher along the way, and that's where we can draw this, you know, upward sloping green channel support line. So yeah, we're looking to see if hopefully we can break this 680, 675 level, and that's where we can see a breakout happening and for the uptrend to continue, right? So yes, this is pretty much how we do it, and we have pretty much covered the 3 ways. So in an uptrend, there's a higher chance for it to break out, all right, and also when we see like, you know, patterns like this whereby higher lows forming as we were to approach resistance level. Okay guys, welcome back, and we have pretty much looked at some live case studies on how do we actually use support and resistance. So let me just do a quick recap of what we have covered so far. And guys, if you are still here watching this video, thank you so much, and make sure you give me a like, right? Smash the like button, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. It will definitely help out the YouTube channel, and thank you so much for doing this. Of course guys, smash the subscribe button if you have not yet done so that you will not miss out on any videos like this where I really give value, right? So let's do a quick recap on support and resistance. So number 1, drawing support and resistance lines. I think I've shown you many times on how to do it. We look at the big picture, the best fit lines, focus on levels whereby the support turn resistance, resistance turn support, and vice versa, right? Number 2, reversal, all right, is likely to occur. So when we see a reversal from the resistance or from the support level is when we were to spot a reversal candlestick pattern. Remember the doji, right? The shooting star, all that, right? So that's where you're going to spot them or try to spot it, all right? Or it's either too bullish or too bearish, too fast when we hit to those levels, right? And also, if the reversal move is in the same direction as a trend, that is where it will most likely occur. Okay. Next, a breakout, all right, is likely to occur when in a bullish move whereby we see like a consolidation, right, towards a resistance with higher lows, right? That's where it will most likely break out in the upwards direction. And for a downwards direction in terms of bearish, that's where we see a consolidation towards a support level, right, with lower highs, right? And of course, next one would be the trend, right? If the move, the breakout move is in the same direction as the trend, it will most likely happen rather than being against the trend. Make sense, guys? We want to be in the same direction as the trend, and when we see that move, the breakout move in the same direction, that is where we can prepare to kind of ride the upwards direction, or maybe to short in terms of the downwards direction, right? So this is pretty much a whole recap of support and resistance. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I think if you have watched this video all the way to now, you're very, very clear on how to use support and resistance, when to really time your entry and exit, and I hope this video has served you well. So yes, if you have not yet subscribed, I say go ahead, yes, smash the subscribe button so that you will not miss out on any videos like this, and I look forward to see you again in the next video. And of course, guys, let me know in the comments below, right? Go ahead and comment, right? What is your biggest takeaway? What is your biggest takeaway in whatever you have learned today, all right, in terms of support and resistance? What is your biggest takeaway? Do you think it works? You know, what are some of the other candlestick that maybe you want to spot at these levels? Or maybe share with me some of your ideas as well in terms of some of the stocks as to how we can use support and resistance. I will kind of like, you know, reply you one by one, right? So go ahead and comment below, let me know what's your biggest takeaway in this very video. And if you want to find out a bit more on like the entire framework, I have one good trend framework which I use, and we have a system kind of guides us on, you know, how to focus on certain stocks and alerts us on stocks like, you know, what we have covered some of them as well, and also when to get in and when to get out. So if you're keen to find out a bit more on the whole framework and how we use the system to pull out winning stocks in like less than 3 minutes, go ahead to kind of like attend one of those free web class that I'm currently still running. I'll probably put the link around this video. Go ahead, attend them, all right, and that's where I'm sure you'll get a better picture or kind of like better idea on how to actually make it work for you. All right, so this is Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you in the next video. Take care.